It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson, the founder of happyfamilies.com.au and the author of a bunch of books about how to make your family happier. Hope you're enjoying your school holidays. Today, I'm having a quick conversation about something that affects around about 150 in every 100,000 Australian kids. Diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Kylie Wild is the mum to a child who has type 1 diabetes. Kylie's son, his name is Liam, and Kylie joins me on the Happy Families podcast today to, I guess, help us to understand. Kylie, this is terrible of me. Like, I've got a PhD in psychology, but I'm not a medical doctor. I have no idea. I know nothing about diabetes. Thanks for joining me on the podcast. Can you tell me, what is type 1 diabetes?
Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease, quite different to grandma's type 2 diabetes. So it's an autoimmune disease that attacks the cells in the insulin that the pancreas makes. So pretty much the kids have got a dodgy pancreas that's unable to produce that insulin. So we then have to make sure they get it on board via injections or a pump or whatever that may be.
Okay, so I want to go back a little bit on here because I'm so non-dietary and I don't know, biochemically conversant. What is insulin and why do we need it?
So our pancreas makes insulin. Is the hormone that controls our blood sugar levels in our body.
So insulin is not actually blood sugar. It's a hormone and it makes sure that our blood sugar is right. What happens if we've got too much blood sugar?
Too much, our blood sugars are going too high. That can put us into a coma as well. We can get some ADK happenings. The ketones in our blood is too high, too acidic, and it's dangerous for our organs. Too low is dangerous as well. So it's just adjusting that to get that happy medium in the body.
Okay. And so type 1 diabetes basically means, and I'm restating to make sure I understand this, maybe I'm the only person listening to this conversation who doesn't understand it, but I've been fortunate to never come across it before. In anyone close to me, never had the opportunity to ask the questions.
Yes.
So type 1 diabetes means that we've got a child or an adult, I guess. Adults can have it as well.
Yes, young adults. Yes.
Whose pancreas is not producing the insulin, which means that blood sugar is going to spike, peak, or bottom out in dangerous ways.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
And so therefore the needles, the insulin is inserted into the bloodstream so that the body does what it's supposed to do with sugar.
Yes, they need help to get the insulin on board so that they can process the carbohydrates as needed.
Yeah, cool. I appreciate that little primer on diabetes. You mentioned that it's not your grandmother's type 2 diabetes. How is that different?
So when Liam was diagnosed, a lot of the people were like, he lives quite a good diet. He's healthy, active boy. But type 2 was later on in life. So it's same kind of thing. The insulin is breaking down and working as well. But it can be genetic, and it's a like with lifestyle as well. As we get older.
I've always understood type 2 diabetes to be related to just eating too much junk food and not exercising enough.
Again, not a great idea if you want to prolong your life without contracting type 2 diabetes, that's for sure. But there is some genetic cases as well with type 2 diabetes.
Okay, so let's go back to Liam and type 1 diabetes. Like, where does type 1 diabetes come from? Are you literally just born with it? Does it just develop? It's not lifestyle related?
No, not lifestyle related. Liam was 5 when we found out he had type 1 diabetes after a few short weeks of symptoms that was sort of telling us something's not quite right here.
Right, okay. So you've got a kid who's not thriving at all. Take him to the doctor and the doctor says, let's run some tests. Oh, we've got a problem here. Obviously, there's the needles, which... I mean, nobody, even I'm sure diabetics, still don't like needles, even though they're having them all the time. So you've got the needles, but how does diabetes, type 1 diabetes specifically, affect kids?
There's a lot that can go on with a child with type 1 diabetes, especially if they're busy, they're active, they want to get on and live life. So you've got a constant juggle of numbers. You need to make sure you're allowing for all the carbohydrates that they're eating, even proteins, fats, sugars going into the body to allow the correct insulin dose to go on board with that so that, their levels can go up high, they can come down low. There's fatigue, there's there's burnout because it's exhausting. They're always looking at numbers. You can feel pretty crappy when your levels are going up and going down. From a small age, there's things like, play dates or sleepovers, and there's a whole world of things that come with the diagnosis, and it's quite overwhelming. But it's constant. You're constantly got numbers going around in your head and thinking ahead. Like it doesn't just take a break. When you're on holiday, it doesn't take a break. When you're sleeping, it doesn't take a break. So exhaustion as well is a big thing too. And teaching healthy habits from a young age.
Which would be so frustrating because you've got this kid who probably wants to be able to go and live their life like all the other kids, and they don't have that opportunity in too many cases, I presume.
We've never really made diabetes a crutch, so to speak, for Liam. He is such an active out there boy. We just had to learn fast to make his life as a youngster as easy as we can. They don't really understand why. We don't understand exactly why either. So we just have to go along the best we can, keep up with him so that he can live a busy, active lifestyle. He's in all sports that you can imagine. Nothing stops him. So as parents, you just need to get on board and be the thinkers and teach them along the way.
Yeah, okay. So let me ask you this then. How do you manage Liam's diabetes? How do you work with this kid when you're trying to not let it interfere, but the reality is it's going to interfere. It requires so much of you. Like it just has to.
Yes, it does. Well, we've had a few different approaches to managing Liam's diabetes. We started out when Liam was first diagnosed. The simple and most easiest way to get our heads around it was injections, even though that seems so unnatural to be injecting your child with a needle device. That was just the easiest part to learn. And then after a couple of years and a lot of Liam hiding under the table because he just could not do injections anymore, gave him anxiety. And it was hurting all of us. We decided to have a go at the pump, an insulin pump that is he was trying the Medtronic. It's a little one that sits on him and there's cords attached and there's little drips of insulin going in all the time. And then you dose up when you're eating a bit extra. That's something that has to go on and off when they're showering, playing active sport as well. And early last year, we were introduced to Omnipod. So we decided that was a no-brainer for Liam to take part in a trial. It's a little device that delivers the insulin and it sticks on you, a bit like your glucose monitoring system that sticks on you. And it just meant that he could shower. He's an adventurer, so he could go hunting yabbies and guppies in the pond and not have to worry, take on, off, boxing, rugby league, everything. He can keep it on. And it's great, and it is recyclable. Often in this disposable world, it's a lot of rubbish, but it's recyclable, and that was great for us too. It's a wonderful device, and I encourage anyone that can have a go.
Maybe a question to wrap up our conversation, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Is there any way that Liam and others with type 1 diabetes can ever get beyond the need to have insulin supplied? Like, does the body ever get it together? And do you ever get a quote-unquote cure from type 1 diabetes?
No, I think that's been research going on for more than 50 years as to when can we find a cure, and I hope that they don't give up finding a cure. Fundraising all the time. Liam takes part in the JDRF One Walk every year to do his bit for fundraising. I don't know of anything. There's lots of stuff happening, lots of research and in the works, but if it will be in Liam's lifetime, I'm really not sure. Well, I'd like to think so.
Kylie, it's been a real pleasure to be able to talk with you, and I appreciate you sharing what you've shared. I'm sure that there will be parents who have kids with type 1 diabetes who are going to find value in what you've shared, and even if parents don't have their own children who are experiencing this challenge, I'm sure that there are plenty of parents out there who have friends, relatives, people in their orbit who certainly do. So it's been really informative and so grateful for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justin.
That's Kylie Wild. She's mum to a type 1 diabetic by the name of Liam, and hopefully some hints and tips for any parent who is battling the same challenges with their kids with diabetes. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rullon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. For more information about making your family happier, please visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.